So welcome everyone to our SAP SuccessFactor Employee Central Time Management and Time Tracking module. And in this hackathon series, we will be focusing on EC time management module. And people who have background in SAP HCM, I will say that anyone before we start, there are two types of thing we have studied in the SAP HCM also called as positive time management, negative time management. Can anyone like to highlight what is the key difference among those two? What is the difference between positive time and negative time, by the way?
Positive time is normally like somebody is entering a operations or manufacturing area, so he will be entering and that will be recorded, and maybe through
Yes,
some device or some other way. Okay, so this is
yes.
positive time recording, and in that positive time recording, there are breaks, there are gaps, so people can there are grace period also. Like people come, and negative time recording
Yes.
is this is by default. It is understood that everybody is present unless somebody
Okay.
takes leave.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So you have rightly explained, unless and until you are explicitly mentioning, right? So then it is considered as a you are by default as a present. Okay. So in those scenario, we call it as a negative time management. Okay. So you have rightly mentioned, and especially wherever every so in terms of complexity, which one you do you think from your experience, anyone would like to say which was the complex one in SAP HCM
Positive is
for
very
you?
very definitely complex one, because here you have to record everything. Means even the somebody is going out for something, so how much grace is given, how much is not given, how much is
Hmm.
it can accumulate and get into 1 day of absence that should be deducted, connecting to the payroll, and then it becomes major issues actually. I
Yeah.
implemented for one of the refinery, and people were
Hmm.
very conscious, especially Gujarat.
Yes,
Even
yes,
for
yes,
one,
yes.
1 rupee, people will fight. So I had a
Yeah,
tough
yeah.
time, tough time implementing positive time management there actually. So
Okay, okay. Thanks for sharing that experience. Similar experience I also had. Okay. But as I say, you have also PCR schemas usually in the time management if you're using PCR schema. In SAP HCM, I'm talking about, not success
yeah,
factor.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So it was
so
relatively complex. Okay.
yeah, very
And
complex, very complex.
yeah, yeah, relatively complex in terms of time management implementations and all,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So now that is now to transition into success factor. Always concept remains the same, as I always say, the process remains the same as well, but the way of doing it will be differ here in SAP success factor. How do you do it? Okay. So in that context, I will say that from an operational point of view, there are two key things we will be focusing in this our entire journey. Today's session will be focusing on the what exactly we are going to cover in the upcoming sessions and all. We will not be going to a system today, but I will say that what are the things so that you can plan, okay, and also what are the resources available in your which we have to refer, okay, that I will point out, and accordingly we can plan the activities because I want it to be more of a hands-on and all, right, without going through too much into theoretical aspect of it, right? So with that note, I will say that from an operational aspect or from a process point of view, two major things we will be seeing up here. One is a time off and then is a time sheet. Okay. So what is a time off? Technically, it is a leave. Okay. So whenever you're applying any kind of leave, okay, whether it is a your typical uh, paid leave or unpaid leaves, okay. So that part is known as a time off. And if when it comes to time sheet, the day to day you are updating your time sheet after your work and all. Okay. So those part will be covered under the time recording. Okay. So as time recording is a little small topic, we will start with that. Okay. So here in the time sheet, what are the things we will be covering? We will be as time sheet is purely it's a people who are coming from employee central background. Okay. So it is a completely based on your MDF objects, metadata framework objects. Okay, SAP has designed it, and we will be using the same foundation. Okay, if you are comfortable in SAP SuccessFactors Employee Central MDF, it won't be challenging for you. Same principle, same concept. We will be following same framework. Okay, in the time recording. module. Okay, so people who are new and do not have a background, I think we have a mix of people. So in this hackathon, and if you're having no background of MDF, I would recommend to revisit the MDF foundations in Success Factor Employee Central. Okay, how does it work? So it will take, you can go through that as well. So now coming to your role based, so role based permissions point of view, how does it work from a time set point of view? So basically, as an employee, you are responsible for recording your working time, whether it's 8 hours, 7 hours, 9 hours, whatever. Okay, or any overtime you are working. Okay, so all these things will be part of your recording what your working time in the time sets. Okay. Similarly, whenever you are viewing time set, okay, or you can download your time set, whatever, that's an employee role. And processing time set, what does it mean? So at the end of the month or end of the period, right? So before it goes to payroll, right? It has to be approved. The time sheet must be approved, okay? And it has to be approved by the manager. Okay, so there are three things which we'll be looking after, okay, from a operations point of view. And how does it work in a implementation in detail? We will be talking about in the implementation track of it. Okay, so this is the one part, time sheet. Okay, so time sheet is again simpler compared to the other topics in the your time off, your overall EC time tracking module and all. Okay. Now coming to the time off, we have a lot of things here. Okay. So here we have again, this is also based on MDF. Okay. So just like your time sheet, your leave also, all the leave applications. Okay. All the leave types, time off types, these are also based on your MDF only. Okay. And here you will be finding a lot of different combination of roles. Okay, so time of request, as usual, it will be done by the employee, definitely. Okay, so employee will be applying for leave. Okay, that's an employee role. But if you want to view or approve or any kind of adjustment you want to do it, so generally in maximum organizations we do have a dedicated person for time. Okay, they call it time office. Okay, so time office or leave office or leave time administrator, leave administrator, dedicated people. Okay, if it is smaller organizations or bigger organization, depends upon that. Okay, so mostly the if any kind of adjustment, the admin can do it, time admin or leave admin, and any kind of approval. Okay, any kind of a leave approval, ideally it goes to the manager. Is a best practice. Generally, the reporting manager, they approve it. So any kind of that kind of stuff. Okay, so it is done by those roles. Okay, so this is from a role point of view. Okay, so this is from a roles point of view. What are the things we will be going to study here that we will be covering, and how to check feasibility of a time of request. What does it mean? Suppose somebody is applying for a leave. Okay, and whether the balance is there or not. Okay, or suppose somebody is requesting as having a special request, okay, or some kind of a compensatory off, right? So in such cases, some special cases, those can be also handled by the either the manager or admin, okay, or the your time administrator if they are having a permission to do so. Okay, so these are the way we can see these are the different topics we will be going through, and from an admin or as an operations point of view. Now, from a configuration as well as operations point of view, so these are the different topics we will see. How to process time of request. Process time of request means, so basically, once your leave has been requested, who is going to approve? What happens after the leave is approved? Okay, is there any integrations with payroll? Okay, so payroll will impact where? Which types of leave will be impacted by payroll? Anyone would like to comment? There are different types of leaves. Okay, but which types of leave will be having a payroll impact?
Live without pay.
Exactly. If you're having any kind of leave without pay, or you can say the unpaid leave, okay, to simplify. Okay, so unpaid leave if you are having, right? So those will be definitely impact your payroll. Okay, so that is something we have to also take care whenever you are processing the time of requests. Okay, so that is something we can see that, and view time of request status. What does it mean? So somebody has requested for a leave. Okay, so what could be the possible status? It could be approved. Okay, it could be, let's say, rejected. Okay, or it could be your maybe in process. Okay, so maybe it is not processed, or it has been approved, but it is yet to be integrated after the payroll. Okay, processing has been done, then it has been processed completely. Okay, so there are different possibility. I'm just giving an example. Okay, we can see those once we go to the system and all, we will see that. Okay, so that is the meaning of a time of request status. Okay, what can be the possible request status? Okay, we can see that. How to see the balances also. Okay, so many times many requests comes. Okay, how much leave balances, which is a very common ask. Okay, so that is also we have to understand. When I say time account balances, do not get confused with the terminology. Time account balances, in simple word, it is your leave balances in general terminology. SAP terminology, they call it time account balances. Okay, but this is a leave balances only. Okay. Next one is how to request long-term time off. What does a long-term time off means? Anyone guess? What is could be the example of a long-term time?
Like maternity leave.
Yes, that's the perfect example. It could be a maternity leave. Okay, so example can be maternity. Ideally, maternity is a very long leave. Okay, so maternity leave, or it could be your. Sometimes people go for sabbatical. Okay, so
Yeah,
those are
study
called
leave.
as a sabbatical or study leave. Yeah, you can say.
Yeah.
Okay, such study leave. Okay, those are the possibilities are there. So once generally these are the considered as a long term time off. There could be many other examples as well. Okay, but this is mostly considered as a long term time off. Okay, long term time off. And short term is as usual, you take the leaves 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, 7 days, 5 days, like that. So that could be an example of your short term time off, and these are long term leaves actually. Okay, and next one is how to process. We will also study about when I say long-term time off. Okay, different organization has a different policies. Again, there are certain policies which is country specific. We have to abide by, right? So every country has their own statutory requirements, right? Especially for the maternity, I have seen it. Okay, so the companies have to abide by those laws. Okay, so we have to take into account whenever you are configuring or doing all these things, whenever processing your long term time off, right? So it has to be configured in such a way it will be fulfilling all the compliances and all. But one thing I will share my experience from one of the projects which I did 1 year back with one of the UK based conglomerate. So there, when I say maternity leave, it is actually in success factor, it is highly transactional. Okay, it doesn't say cover a lot of other topics which is before maternity leave and after maternity leave, right? Because it sometimes people may want to extend the maternity leave, okay, by 1 month, 2 month, 3 months. Okay, they want some kind of a flexibility. They want some kind of a, many of the organizations they also provide benefits, okay, as a part of the maternity leaves. Okay, so there are some additional things. Okay, and also regular communication between the mother and also giving the gifts also to the person, right? So a lot of things, additional things also, many organizations they do it, but those are not part of your employee central time off. Yeah, just to make sure to understand. So this is again very specific, very transactional in nature. Okay, so because SAP SuccessFactors doesn't cover those topics which is beyond the scope of the work. Okay, maybe you can develop some custom, okay, solutions so to achieve those additional things. Okay, but this is very much transactional. Okay, so now next is your time of request. These are all how to apply after long-term leave. How do you process those long-term time off and all? We will be seeing those details. Okay, and also we'll talk about position details of employees who are on the leave. Okay, so how to view the position details, how to see their job information leaves. Mostly these are applicable in case if it is a unpaid leave, okay, or some other scenario, right? So in such cases, it could be possible that these are the different uh, long-term time of request and how do you process it and all. So this is how we have to consider as well. Okay. So now after this, uh, there is a concept of return to work. Okay, it is also applicable during the COVID. Also, if you have seen, there is a lot of people return to work application was there. Okay, and also this is also applicable for the maternity as well. Okay, people will be returning to work. Okay, from long term time off. How do you manage those? Okay, how do you manage those work requests and everything? Okay, so this is the way it has to be done, and we will be covering each and every scenario. Okay, so from a time off or a leave point of view. Okay, so these are the two things will be our key focus area from a operation and implementation side of view. Now coming back to the objects point of view, what are the objects we'll be dealing with? Just like in EC, we have covered a lot of objects. Can anyone tell, just a quick recap, any what kind of objects we have seen in Employee Central? Can anyone would like to highlight any examples of all the objects? What are the EC objects we have seen? Types of objects we have seen: foundation, MDF, and all generic. Any examples? If anyone has remembered, come on. So foundation objects, MDF, your generic objects. Okay, so those are the key categories. Okay, under that, whatever your comes. Okay, your organization, job, pay structures. Okay, under that also we have seen a lot of objects. Okay, payroll related objects also we have seen in EC, right? So similarly, we will be also having a lot of objects which are very specific to the time. Okay, so one of those objects is known as a universal time objects. Okay, what does it mean? Whenever I'm saying universal time objects, there are four, five major categories. And same principle is also applicable if you have seen in SAP HCM in on-premise also, same principle was applicable. Okay. So we just call by a different name. Otherwise, it is more or less same only. Okay. So the first one is a time type. Okay. What do we mean by time type? So time type is nothing but similar to your leave types. Okay. Whatever the leave types or your or any kind of object related to this universal time objects time type, we will be having a lot of other examples as well. We will see that. Okay, similarly we will be having a time accounts, time account types. Okay, so we will be seeing all those in the scenario. Okay, so there is a time account. The example could be, let's say you have taken 3 days time off. Okay, that means so you are in your account, it will be deducting 24 hours or 3 days from your total balances. Okay, so that account is known as a time account where your total leave balance is stored and all, right? That is known as your time counts here. Okay, so that is a time account. So time account type, what does it mean? This is all kind of accrual. Okay, so many times what do we mean by accrual? So if you talk about any kind of annual leaves, okay, so let's say that leave is not given automatically in the beginning, rather it is accrued as you move on in the organization. So let's say your leave cycle is, let's say it is from January to December. Okay, so in the month of, let's say you are January, and your total leave is 24 days. Okay, annual leaves, and at the end of the every month, okay, based on your number of working days you have worked, suppose that is getting credited to your time accounts. Okay, so let's say it is 2 days. Okay, and let's say you have worked for 100%, let's say in January, then 2 days will be accrued. Okay, so that kind of accrual, okay, we capture in the time account types here. Okay, and it is
We can
driven by the
also,
business rules. Yeah.
Ladri, we can also say that these are accrual are earned leaves also, as
Yes,
the
yes,
month.
exactly. Earned leave, or people call it EL, or some people call it privilege leave. Okay, these are the same thing. Okay, so EL, your earned leave, the same concept here. but they in SAP success factor they call it time account types or accrual. Okay, and this can be controlled by your success factor business rules. Okay, so the same kind of business rules which we have seen already in employee central. Okay, the objects will be different here, but same principle of business rules will be applicable here as well. Okay, so EL is a very good example. Okay, so that is a in general layman terminology, people call it earned leave or EL or privilege leave, right, which is accrued on a periodical basis, right? So that is something, okay, we call it as a time count type, and these are driven by your accrual, your business rule engine in success factors. Okay, so that also today just we would like to understand the terminologies. Okay, because I will not be covering this terminology again and again, and I will be recommending few notes, and I'll be sharing those notes as well. Okay, so that before tomorrow's sessions maybe, or and you will have to go through, you take 1 day or 2 day to go through this all term, it will take some time. People who are very new and who do not have a background, I completely agree that it will take some time. And definitely you study by the examples, because why? Because whenever you're dealing with a customer, they may not be aware of these terminologies 100%. Okay, but whenever you're taking the requirements in the workbook, whenever you're capturing these requirements and all, you have to frequently use these terminologies. Okay, so you have to acquaint yourself with all these terminologies with examples. Okay, which is very important. Definition and examples. Okay, for every object, time objects, you have to understand what does it mean, what does mean by those objects, and what is the perfect example which you can explain to the customer. Okay, so that is the purpose of it. Otherwise these are not so difficult. Same concept, just in a new way of doing it. We are doing it in a success factor, but same concept is also there in other time modules. Okay, whether it is Workday or Oracle and all, same concept is everywhere. Only the thing is how you present it, how you call it. Okay, so this only difference here. Okay, next one is a holiday calendar. This is very much straightforward. Okay, so every organization, okay, based on the location, countries, and all, right? In the same countries also, different regions have different holidays, right? So that is also a possibility. There you have to have a unique holiday calendar, okay, based on your locations. Even in the same country, if you're having different branches of your office, and there is a slight difference between in the holiday pattern, okay, you can have a separate holiday calendar for those locations as well. Okay, but it should be unique to your organization, your branch, or your location, wherever, because the people belonging to the same location, they will be following the same holiday calendar here. Okay, right.
We can also
Next
call
one,
holiday calendar as floating holidays.
floating holidays is little different. Okay, so generally, floating holidays are actually, if you talk about by the term itself, so where you are given a list of holidays, okay, and out of that, you will be deciding, okay, I will be taking. It is an optional. Okay, okay. Out of those 10 or 12 listed holidays, you will be taking 2 or 3. Okay, applying for floating holidays. Okay, or you can say the optional holidays and all, right? But there will be a maximum limit also, maximum two, or in my previous organization it was two. Okay, out of a list of 10 holidays, but we have to again apply as a leave only those holidays. But yeah, floating holidays, that is the meaning of it. That means you are given an option out of 10 or 15 or whatever, you will be able to take only 2 or 3 like that. Okay, so that is generally that's a subset of holiday calendar, I will say. That's not a holiday calendar, but it's same concept was there in the SAP HCM. Okay, whenever you are creating holiday calendar, there is an option to tick whether that's a floating holiday or not, if you can remember. Okay, there is an option to do that. Okay, so that we call it as an optional holidays also. Okay, out of that you can take list of holidays, you can take 2 or 3, whatever, right? So that we'll talk about. Then the last part is your work schedule, which is very, very important. Okay, because also it was an impact to your payroll. Work schedule, it is just like your, if you're working for 8 hours, okay, for 5 days in a week, right? And it may happen you are following the same work schedule every day. It may happen your schedule is rotate on a rotation basis. It is changing from different shifts, morning to day to evening, and like that, right? So there are different possibilities are there, okay, and that's the way we call it a work schedule, okay, and that also we will be looking at, okay, how do you configure it and all. So in the upcoming sessions, that we known as a universal time objects here, okay.
Ladri,
Other than that, yeah, please go ahead. Any
a
questions?
work schedule, we also called it's as a rooster, monthly rooster or
Ah,
weekly rooster.
yeah. Yes, exactly. So that is a layman terminology, and in operational terminology, we can call it roster, or you can call it time. You can say the pattern. Okay. Generally, roster is a common terminology in the industry. Okay. But in success factor in SAP, we call it a work schedule. Okay. It's a pattern of work, how many hours you are spending per day, and which is the time in and time out regular pattern. Okay, so generally that we cover it, but roster is a industry term. Okay, thanks for bringing in that. Yeah, we call it, yeah, roster only. Yeah, we can view the
2003.
work schedule, we can view the yes, yes, thanks for that. Okay. So now the last part here is a time recording object. So this is a little technical. I will come up whenever we'll be seeing through those implementation part. We will be more granular in nature. Okay, I will explain that. So here you will be from a time recording point of view. We will be calling about there will be a time type group, time pay type. Okay, time type group. It can be whether you are even if you are working. Okay, whether you're working from home or working from office. Okay, if you want to segregate that and you want to say in your reports, okay, so that can be achieved via time type groups. Okay, even if you're working from, okay, office or home, okay, based on that you can segregate that. So time pay type, as I said earlier, it can be paid leave or unpaid leave and all. Based on that we can calculate and all, we will see that. Next is your time recording profile. Okay, time recording profile will be like which is equivalent to your time valuations. People who are coming from SAP HCM, time management background, okay, so where we had a time valuations, okay, after your complete of particular period or particular month, we used to do a calculation, okay, for that particular period, how much you have leave accrued, how much overtime you have worked, whether you are paid for those overtime, is there any comp off, okay. So all those kind of valuations we can do it here, but it will be profile based, okay. Maybe in your organization every people, okay, all people may not be eligible for work from home, okay, or work from office. There are certain people who are allowed for work from home, okay. There are certain people who are maybe a hybrid, right? So based on that you can create separate time recording profile. Although it looks similar, but you have to capture differently. Okay, we will talk about here in the time recording profile. Okay, so that is again these are little complex concept we will be seeing in the implementation track. But today my goal is you understand these terminologies. Okay, so that is most important part. Okay, similarly time recording admissibility. What does it mean? Whether you are supposed to record your time, whether it is permissible certain types of okay, suppose you are not eligible for a particular type of leave, okay, or particular time type of recording, right? Then based on your permission or based on your admissibility means whether you are eligible for that kind of time recording, maybe a sabbatical leave I'm talking about. Maybe the organization has a policy that if you have not completed 2 years in the organization, okay, you are not admissible or you are not permitted to capture those kind of leaves, right? So those kind of principles and all we can configure, and we will see that in the time recording admissibility. Same goes with your time valuations. How do you evaluate your work from home or from office or any kind of time evaluations you are doing it? That part we'll cover. Next is employee time valuation result, ETVR we call it. ETVR means employee time valuation result. So after your time valuation is completed, we run the time valuation in SuccessFactor. Then after that, what is the result? Okay. So that is also an object. We consider as an object, and this data gets stored in SuccessFactor only. And we can always visit those objects. What are the data details inside the object? We can always look into it. So that is we call it as the ETVR, or employee time valuation result here. Okay, so these are different time recording objects. Time of objects, as I say, are mostly the leaf types. Profiles are again very simple. You may have a different profile. Suppose you are a senior manager or a director. Okay, you are eligible for certain additional leaves, maybe if the organization is having those kind of policies, or certain kind of, let's say, interns. Okay, so interns will be having a different kind of leave policies. So based on that, you can create multiple time profile. Okay, so that is just thought of just a quick summary of what are the planned things we will be going to study. Now coming to the resources section, I highly recommend the official guide of SAP to go through. So that is your help.sap.com. You go there and you go there here SAP and go to HR and people engagement. Yes, Usama, go ahead. Any question if you have.
Yeah, Nadi, we have talked about that the leave without pay impact our payroll. What about the overtime? Which overtime covered under which sections?
Overtime also it will be a time type. Okay, so it will be a
Okay.
time type. We will be seeing this is all comes under the objects. Okay, once we, because these are all MDF objects. Okay, if you're having access to SAP SuccessFactors system, okay, you can go to the respective transactions of MDF objects and all, and we simply type time. Okay, you will be seeing a lot of objects which we'll be going to see tomorrow session. Okay, so I will be giving more examples. What are the terminologies we have studied today? Okay, we will see there. Okay, no worries. Okay. So now coming to the resource section, go to HR and people engagement, go to core HR and payroll because time is also considered a core HR. And inside this, we have a 5 module: EC payroll, time tracking, DMS, that is document management, and work zone. Go for this success factor time tracking. Also, we call it time and attendance management here. Okay. And this will be officially, we will be following this guide. Okay. So I will highly recommend choose the latest. By default it will be the latest version 2H 2023 as we speak in the current hackathon. Okay, click download PDF. Okay, download all the materials what we have here. Okay, and keep it ready and with you, and we will be taking you through those guides systematically. Okay, so from implementation point of view, this is your key guide: implementing time management success factor. Other than that, there are best practices. There are also integrations. Okay. So I highly recommend download these materials. Anyway, I will be sharing with you, but still, if you're having access, some of the materials require S user ID. Okay. And you just log into the help.sap.com and keep all these materials ready with you. At the same time, the workbooks also, I will be, it is already there in the platform, but I will be putting into the new hackathon modules, and I will keep you updated. Okay. So we will continue from here. Okay. Because our hackathon is primarily focused on the implementation side of it. Okay. So we will be parallelly going operation as well as the implementation, both of this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Savina, for you. We
Okay.
will
And
continue
Nadi,
this. Okay. Yeah.
Nadi, will you share these documents of my implementing
Yes,
guideline,
I
or
will.
we can?
Yes, I will be sharing this with you. But anyway, you can also access if you're having S user ID. Maximum of the materials you will be able to download. Okay, from here directly in the time tracking categories.
Uh,
Okay.
Question, Niladri, if you have time.
Yeah. We have 2 minutes. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, two questions. Like some scenario, as already you said, that suppose there is a positive time recording, and employees, they come, they swipe, and they go out. In this scenario, how does it work? And then how the integration with payroll works in this case? Is it similar to HCM kind of scenario, or is there any dependency with HCM backend for time tracking, or the entire time tracking is handled in SuccessFactor? How it is?
Yeah. So this entire time tracking you can handle in SuccessFactor. It doesn't have a, because organizations who are native to SuccessFactor, they do not have any background of SAP HCM. Okay,
Hmm.
so they can smoothly go for time tracking independently. Okay, having
Okay.
said that, you can also do a replications. Okay, due to some XYZ reason, still organization
Hmm.
want to replicate and all. Okay, but I do not
Hmm.
recommend that is best practice. Go for cloud completely. Okay, that is
Hmm.
always best thing to do. Okay, but
Hmm.
still there are
Hmm.
organization who has not yet due to some XYZ reason. Okay,
Hmm.
and they want to replicate. There is an option. Okay, so that we will see that. And our key functions, so Subina, to answer your question, so this is not an advisable, although there is a possibility to do a time management integration in SAP HR, but SAP HR we have to start forgetting. Okay, I have started
Yeah,
stopped watching SAP HR. Yeah,
yeah,
because
yeah,
so
yeah.
this is something
I know,
that
I know,
kind
I
of
know, I know.
culture we have to
No,
bring
it
it.
is. This is reminding the whole thing for me actually because I
Yeah,
exclusively worked on time and I
yeah,
worked on negative time, positive time, leave
yeah,
types, 100 types
yeah.
of leave types, complexities.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
so
I agree. I agree.
I'm
Those companies.
so yeah,
Mhm.
and so we don't have any more PCR and schema here, right? Or
Oh,
still you
PCN
have to.
schemas not there. Time tracking is purely business rule driven. Okay, so these are
Oh,
all purely
okay,
business rules. You have to be mastering in
okay.
the business rules. Okay, and there
Oh,
are
okay.
configurations, easy
Okay,
configurations.
okay.
Okay,
I have a request.
but mm,
Like you will be driving the session. If you drive the session, showing the workbook point of view that this is the
yep,
implementation workbook, how we go
yep,
proceed and implement this. You
sure,
know,
sure,
so
sure. So
then it
that
will be
feedback.
more realistic and more impactful actually.
Yes, yes, sure, sure. So this hackathon actually I have planned for that. So instead of
Thank you,
keeping the
thank you, thank you.
workbook to the
Yeah,
end,
yeah,
okay, we will be
yeah, yeah,
capturing in the beginning itself.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
that I
yeah.
I taken those feedback. Okay, and I
Thank
will be
you, thank you.
incorporating. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
no
So
worries.
tomorrow morning we have got classes, right? Tomorrow morning.
Yes, yes, we do have LMS also, and LMS will be updating the calendar. So today
10
itself I will
o'clock.
come.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yes,
All right.
yes.
All right. Thank you.
So thanks everyone for joining in, and take care. We will see tomorrow. Okay, take care.